I don't give a fuck anymore. Every time that you let yourself be seen for who you truly are, you heal a nervous system that has been hiding from judgment. Oh my gosh. You're only afraid of how other people perceive you because of past misunderstandings with other people in your life. So this is why you might feel afraid of being seen by literally anybody. And when misunderstandings happen, it leads to people saying things that aren't true about you to where you used to internalize them. So you stop being seen in general. And that is when you make yourself small to make other people feel comfortable. And we're stopping that today in this video. So let's look at your reality right now. Truthfully and honestly, it is full of fear. The only reason to why it's full of fear is because you're afraid of being seen by other people. And now what happens when we're afraid of being seen by other people? Multiple things come up for us because we've experienced the exact negative, worst possible thing that could happen, right? People misunderstanding us and us internalizing it and them creating a story in their mind, which then replayed to us to where we believed it, and they viewed us in a way that was never actually us. But we started to believe that vision in their mind and internalized it, and this is the stop of that. You have a fear of being seen by people because of this exact repeated evidence of the past. This only happens because of repetition from the past. Your body and your mind started to believe this proof of evidence. There's physical, mental, emotional evidence within your whole body of you feeling like people misunderstand you when you speak, when you are yourself, when you are your authentic self. There's proof in the mind of I can't be myself because in the past there was so much negativity of me even being myself. There's physical proof. So that's why it keeps repeating, and that's why you protect yourself, because you've already seen it in the past. You've already seen it be reality for you, and that's why it keeps continuing to be a coping mechanism for you of how you are. When you're feeling this fear of being seen, and I say this because I have been through this myself. When you have this fear of being seen, right? You feel like you have to literally edit yourself constantly for other people to understand you. This can be online, this can be in person, this can be anything. You speaking to anybody, because if you're afraid of being seen, you're truly just afraid of being yourself. Because of past experiences, this involves your emotional state, the emotions tied with those thoughts of you even being yourself. And then it evolves into your identity. So we're gonna get out of that, and let's not look at the past right now. We're gonna keep that on hold and be like, all right, that happened, but let's just wait here and take a look at what's happening now and how we can move forward. Of course, the past is important to look at, but when you keep the past around, it's gonna keep replaying. Doesn't mean that the past wasn't hurtful. Didn't mean that the past didn't exist. It just means it doesn't have to keep replaying into your present moment. So you're editing yourself, which means you're making yourself digestible for other people. You're just making yourself small for other people to understand you at their small-minded level, right? Which is really self-betrayal in of itself. This whole pattern here, self-betrayal. What also can be shown here is constantly self-monitoring yourself on social media, within conversations, self-policing yourself, making sure you don't say the wrong thing or else somebody's gonna misunderstand you. But truthfully, if they were gonna misunderstand you no matter what, they're gonna misunderstand you and view you in their mind how they wanted to anyways. With whatever you say, they already had an idea of how they saw you in their mind anyways. And if it's just one misunderstanding that ticks them off, they probably weren't for you anyways. We're looking outside of us to get approval from these people instead of being misunderstood, because that's been our life up until this point, right? And because we're self-monitoring ourselves, this leads to a lack of connecting with ourselves and truly just being ourselves in reality in our day-to-day life. So it's a lack of self, a lack of a sense of self in day-to-day life, because our whole days are thought about monitoring ourselves, about being hesitant about being ourselves. So we edit ourselves to make ourselves digestible for other people to understand us, because there's so much proof in the past of people misunderstanding us based on us being ourselves. So why wouldn't we want to audit ourselves for other people to understand us? But like I said, this is keeping you small, and keeping you small around other small people, because people who saw you for you, and you didn't have to water yourself down, they're going to see you for you. Whenever you dim yourself and you make yourself small around other people, they are likely keeping themselves small as well, and you don't need to be around that. People that are small are just going to make you feel even more small and worse about yourself. So let's get into the belief, as in what belief patterns might be running your mind right now. How do we even start to understand these beliefs that might be in your mind of you feeling afraid of being seen? This is what you might believe in your mind. Ready? This is the juiciest part, and sorry about the lighting. You fear if you are yourself in general, literally with whoever you're around, you feel like if you are yourself, you're gonna get rejected. The whole fear is here. So you feel like if you are yourself, that you're gonna get rejected in all situations. So that's why you hide. That's why your fear of being seen exists, because of all of the repeated evidence from the past. And this really leads to people deciding your worth, people deciding who you are in the world. And if they reject you, then you feel a type of way and you internalize it because you feel like they have a sense of truth about you. But that's not the truth, because it just might have been something you learned up in early life. So this is just externally seeking. Others define my worth, because if I'm not rejected and if I play small, all of these things, then I'm okay, then I'm safe. And the main thing that you feel like you might have to do is to control how other people see you, to manage how other people see you online, in person. The whole reason as to why this is happening is because the fear is so much louder and more apparent than you being yourself. The fear is so much louder with this negative belief pattern and this negative story in your mind of you believing this to be truth and comfortable and safe, to where you'd rather not be yourself at all, because there's so much more negativity of you being yourself than positive. No wonder why we're stuck in the same belief pattern. So you feel like you have to control yourself, control how you're seen, control how you're perceived, because this creates safety. This is the opposite of fear. You feel safe while you're doing this. But the cost is the thing that we have to take a look at, is what good keeps us staying in this exact same position? How much longer are we willing to stay here and keep ourselves small instead of being ourselves, creating repeated positive evidence in our mind so that fear dissolves from our mind and we start to look within us and create that worth within ourselves and define who we actually are instead of other people. We don't have to do that anymore. But there's another assumption here that is kind of crazy. If we assume that we are misunderstood, it's proof that we are broken, wrong, or unsafe. Somebody needs to hear this shit. It's all safety. You just want safety. Safety is really the only thing that we want here. I need to get new markers. It's all for safety. And when you understand the why of why we're doing this, then you can understand yourself of, all right, how does this look in my life and what can I do moving forward? We don't have to look at the past anymore and let it dictate the future. We can decide, how do we move forward, knowing that all I wanted was safety. I realize now maybe that I let other people define my worth. And I also realize how controlling myself, control how I'm being seen, is just me managing safety and how safety looks in my life. Because of all of these situations to where me feeling unsafe, being myself, of course, the belief pattern is like this. Of course, your life is like this. So now we just have to create a new pile of evidence and safety within so that we can become this person and become fully anchored within ourselves. And when you think that all of this happens because it's proof that you're broken, the whole thing is shame. If you look at David Hawkins' scale, the lowest state of being is shame. And if you stay in shame, you're just gonna feel more shitty and shitty about yourself. And the only thing that I will say for you to get out of this way of being and to really do something different is to have courage. All you have to do is just have courage and move forward. Even if you feel that shame, even if you feel fear, all you have to do is have the courage and be willing to move forward. That is the shift of how you get out of this fear-based state and move to a more free life of you being who you are actually meant to be without caring what other people think about you. How much longer do you want to live your life to where you care so much about what other people think about you when they're just going to misunderstand you anyways? People who actually are open and free and don't feel shame about themselves, they are going to welcome you with open arms. The only people who keep you stuck in this exact same loop of literally repeated evidence of this happening again and again are people who experience this exact same thing. People with small minds are going to see you in a small way. People with big minds are going to see you as you are and be like, wow, maybe they're that way, maybe they're afraid, but I still see them and accept them as they are. I don't have to misunderstand them because I have a sense of self within me. The other person has this sense of self within them, so they're able to see you how you are instead of how they want to see you. It's all becoming neutral. It's all removing you being the center of everything and seeing yourself as this person already whole and complete as you are. Nothing to fix, nothing to heal anymore. You already are yourself. Nothing outside of you determines who you are or your worth. You decide who you are right now, and that is the fucking truth. So we need to get out of shame because you're not broken. Nothing is wrong with you. And when you have that core belief, of course, this happens. But I'm here to say there's nothing fucking wrong with you. And whoever said that, whoever made you believe that, which honestly, it makes sense if you grew up that way, critical parents, people not seeing you for you, misunderstanding you, taking a mental narrative of how they wanted to view you, really not who you actually are. It makes sense. All I have to say is it makes sense, but we don't have to keep living our life like that. And that is the main thing that we're about to get into. But I really wanted to cement this up. This is all safety. This is all you wanting to get safety from a fear-based lens. But we don't have to do this because we can live in more abundance, bro. I'm going to show you exactly how you can. I have gotten out of it. You can too. Before we get into the next one, The whole belief system that you have right here has been internalized from past misunderstandings. So moving forward, fuck all of them. Oops. You don't have to internalize when you see the truth for how it is. People are just people. They have their own filter in mind. You don't have to take it personal. You just have to create a different lens in how you view yourself, and then everything is going to change for you. Then you start to see people as neutral and, oh, that's how they are. That has nothing to do with me. I'm still myself, and other people don't dictate my internal world. When you make that decision out of courage and willingness to look at yourself and decide, I'm done living this life. Like, I'm really done. That's when you start to change. Everything about you changes. There's no more fear running you anymore. You're moving out of love and abundance, and you're going to get and become anything you want, because you're not moving from fear anymore. If you look at the scale again, you're going to move from more courage and willingness, love, reasoning. You know how crazy your life could change if you just stepped into that way of being just for a bit, handled all of the uncomfortability, and just let yourself be, going through these stages of messiness and being afraid and being able to remove this old identity of who you are. You have to be okay with letting the old you die. Not really, but it's just like an identity death, right? You have to move along these stages of birth, rebirth, death, whatever order that might have been messed up. Anyways, let's get into the truth. I know that was long-winded, but I really wanted to solidify this here. Now let's get into the truth. These markers are actual ass, bruh. Let's get into the actual truth of literally what you need to know moving forward in a reframe that you can use. And I'm so sorry you can't see it. It's actually so bad. You know what? I'm working on the lighting. I'm working on the everything, okay? This is new, all right? We're just getting started here. And thank you for watching, okay? Okay, this is gonna hit home. I'm telling you right now. If you keep bro, this is about to fucking blow your mind. And this is so bad. Let me redo this. This is about to blow your fucking mind, bro. Like, truthfully, this is the absolute truth. When you hear this, please take this into consideration of how this might look like in your life, and just consider it. Become curious about yourself. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to fix yourself. Just look and become curious without any meaning attached. Become curious like a kid again, bro. Just be like, oh shit, this might have been playing up in my life up until this point like this. Yikes. Oh, that's what has happened. Nothing to do until you let it sit and let all of the emotions move through you. But let's get into the fucking truth here. Let's get into the truth, okay? We go from the heart, we go from the body, and we go to the brain. Hopefully you can see that. This is the whole cohesion. This is cohesion. When you feel in your heart, you're good about yourself. You're viewing yourself in a loving way. When you feel good in your body about yourself, when you feel good in your brain about yourself, you know what this is? This is full coherence. This is full coherence of you being who you're meant to be without other people's fucking opinions, quite frankly. Your body is on board of who you're actually meant to be. Your heart is on board of who you're actually meant to be. And your brain and your mind, your identity, all of those, where all of that lives, is on board to you being who you're meant to be. Now, what is happening here? What is the truth underlying everything? This is all mind-body integration. The truth is, the fear of being seen isn't about you being bad. You being bad just means you think you're wrong. You wrong means that you feel shame about yourself. You feel like something is wrong with you fundamentally, at a fundamental level, in your mind, in your heart, in your body. You feel like something is wrong. This is all about the old narratives of people who misread you, and it was never your fault. It was all about their interpretation of who they viewed you to be based on their own filter and their own mind and their own experiences. It had nothing to do with you. The only thing that happened is you internalized it. And that makes sense for somebody who maybe felt misunderstood by people in the past. It makes sense. It's all about old narratives. And maybe your heart feels heavy because of all of this. No wonder why the heart, body, and the mind don't feel coherent, because you're feeling heavy about stuff from the past. So maybe you feel heavy because of all of these misunderstandings from the past. Maybe your body feels unsafe because you don't feel like you can be yourself. So of course you have fear in the body. And then your mind, with all of these beliefs and your identity of you feeling like you're afraid of being seen as you are, of course you're afraid. True and utter stability. Oh my gosh, this is so bad. I hope you can see this. Anyways, you don't really need to see this because I'm just going to be speaking in here. The truth is, stability comes from when you start to return to yourself, who you are, coming back here and understanding who you are instead of what other people have made you to be, who other people wanted you to be. You start to come back to you and remember who you are, uncovering all of these old masks of what has been you up until this point. It's all been internalized. And when you stop internalizing things, you decide, oh my gosh, there's a choice here. I get to decide how I want to view myself, how I want to view other people, and everything comes from choice. That's when you get to a higher level of consciousness, whatever you want to call it, a way of being. That's how you're naturally emitting yourself throughout the world. And you stop controlling perception because you realize people who don't see you as you, they probably feel negative about themselves. You don't have to control your perception of how other people see you because you are okay when somebody misunderstands you. The old repetition of the past, okay, that happened, but it doesn't define me. When you're fully anchored within yourself, you don't care about what other people say about you. It is just them seeing you how they want to see you, not you for how you truly are. And honestly, human condition at the end of the day. It is what it is. All you can do is just see them for how they are and show empathy. But that doesn't mean you have to do anything about it. You just see it for how it is and move on. Decide you don't want to be involved with that because you deserve people who see you for how you are based on your stability and who you actually are instead of who you are for other people, what you do for them. How about who you are under the surface and your qualities, who you are as a human being, your heart, instead of what other people need you for. We don't have to do that anymore. So this all comes from safety. This all comes from fear. This is fear-based thinking and a fear-based way of being that I'm going to try to pull you out of. And if you want to take into consideration anything, just let it sit. I'm just putting out information for you. Whatever seeds come in, just allow them to be planted in your mind. Allow your mind to be a garden. Let the seeds plant. If they blossom into something later, maybe, but let something come in. Be open to it. Now, after all that, let's get into the shift now of taking this action. A lot of people in the spiritual space, manifestation space, self-help space, honestly, this is something I could talk about for a long time. But I will say in this spiritual space, a lot of people think that something outside of them is going to help them or get them to where they want to be. Yes, of course the universe exists. Of course source exists. Of course God exists. But God and the universe doesn't dictate who you are and what you get. Only you have the power of choice to determine how you want your life to look like. Reality is just gonna mirror you and really show itself based on who you are. It's all a reflection at the end of the day. And it's because of who you are. When you give your power away to the universe of I'm waiting, you're giving your power away to something outside of you when you know, well, maybe you don't know, but I'm telling you right now, you have the choice to decide. There's nothing outside of you and you have the universe within you. You can do anything you want to do. And also, it's all the power of a coherent mind, body, and soul. All right, now let's get into actionable steps. I was talking about spirituality for the self-help space. I feel like it goes hand in hand of listening to somebody else tell you what to do. Over here, we're not doing that shit. I'm helping you become your own individual. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to tell you and help you get back to yourself. Okay, now we can get into the shift of what we can do. These markers are actually so bad, I don't even want to write on here. The shift moving forward. I need to get more, so let me just talk here. Moving forward. Ouch, fuck. Really, the thing that you have to do is pause. Pause before you feel like you have to edit yourself. This is where you master the art of distance, the art of distance between stimulus and response. All you have to do is make distance on purpose from something that triggers you and then master the art of the pause before you interact with, if it's that person, if it's that situation, because then you can decide how you want to respond moving forward. You don't have to stay in this automatic cycle of what you've been doing for years just because it's been automatic. You can always change it. So start to pause before you edit yourself. Pause when you feel like that old way of being is going to come up. It's all about awareness and understanding yourself of how it plays up in your life, how it looks in your life, how your body feels when you're about to edit yourself. You can literally feel it. So just pause and ask yourself, is this a moment to where I'm going to make myself smaller? And that's when you become more aware. That's when you see in every present moment. Every day is comprised of present moment, a little single present moment. We're always in the present moment. So you can just look whenever you're able to. In every given present moment, whatever capacity you have to start becoming aware of yourself, deciding to look at yourself and pause before you feel that editing sensation. And it might be direct, but when you create distance and you see it happening for how it is, then you have space to create something new. A new belief pattern, a new action, a new way of being, so that that normal way of being becomes eradicated and you decide to go down this new route and this new way of being actually. We're gonna come back. I'm actually tired, bruh. We're gonna come back to talking about the past here before we end out this video. The thing that really helps is recognizing old stories, all of this old things that happened to us in the past, by the way, are all past misinterpretations by people who weren't able to even understand you in the beginning. Somebody who misunderstands you, they're never going to be able to understand you. If you continuously try to prove yourself to somebody who's already going to misunderstand you no matter what, you're just speaking for no reason, honestly, at that point. But all you have to do is recognize all of these things have been past misinterpretations by people who weren't able to hold all of me. And that's completely fine. It is what it is. You have to remove the meaning and dissipate the negative charge that is still existent within your mind and your body, and just allow it to just be as it is, neutral. It just means, how do you move forward knowing that that happened, and carrying it with you to the present moment, into the future as well. This is you reclaiming autonomy, your sense of self, your individuality from other people's narratives, from other people's stories, and not letting it affect you anymore, because it doesn't have to. And the last thing you can do is to start doing small acts of visibility. This can be in social media, conversing with somebody at a coffee shop, talking to somebody at the gym, literally anything that is making you go, like I said, outside of your comfort zone and getting into that courage and willingness. And yes, the fear is going to be there. I can't lie to you. But when you're able to do it, even when the fear is there, that makes you fearless. And that is when you're going to start doing it, and it's going to become natural. The only thing you have to do is just do it. And it's going to become less and less fearful over time, and you're going to get used to it, just like anything. New positive reinforced evidence of repetition of you being okay even with fear there. You're going to be okay with uncertainty, and that's going to create a strong foundation of you, of who you are and how you handle fear. Practicing just one thing daily, weekly, can really create compounded evidence of you showing yourself, I can be visible and nothing happens. Nothing bad happens to me. And if it does, you have a reframe already in your head of, oh, that person sees me through their filter. They weren't going to understand me anyways, and they're just seeing me through their lens of their experience. And maybe they are afraid as well. It is what it is. Because people who will understand me right away. There's no need to prove myself or show my worthiness in this way anymore. That's an old behavior, old way of thinking that we don't have to do anymore. And the last thing I'll say before closing out this video is being misunderstood is not a failure. You didn't do anything wrong by being misunderstood in the first place or internalizing things. This is just an invitation to show up anyways, even when you are afraid. I'm not talking about that self-help, literally suffering. Do it anyways. I'm talking about do it anyways, even when you're afraid, because the other side is well worth it. You're going to get so much of what you want just by stepping into the fear, even if you're afraid. You can do it. Because when you're proving to yourself, I'm not going to die even when I feel afraid, then you have evidence of, oh, you're right. Ooh, I did do it. I could do it. Then you gain confidence, repeated effort. You can do anything you want when you have that mindset and that foundation within. And all you're really needing is just safety. You're creating a new nervous system, a more stable nervous system. You're showing yourself, I'm okay being myself in the world. Nothing bad happens to me anymore. And if it does, I don't give a fuck anymore. You literally become yourself in a world to where everybody is afraid of being themselves. It doesn't matter anymore because you're living how you want to live. You know yourself more than anybody. Who cares about somebody misunderstanding you? It's all in their own lens of their own experience. They're probably going through something as well. They probably don't like themselves in a way that you can't see, and you don't have to take it personal. When you know you actually don't have to take it personal, you end up becoming more and more free every single day that you practice this. The more practice, the more repetition, the more evidence, the more confidence. Repetition. Do it even when you're afraid. Show up anyways. Show up even when you're afraid. You got it. Moving forward, before you click off of this video, the main 3 things that I want you to take away is notice when you are self-censoring yourself. When you start to notice, you could then choose something different, even when you're afraid. Practice today. After you watch this video, you watch the whole way through. You gotta start something being visible. Start being visible today, even in the smallest way. However that looks like for you and what's at least a little bit scary for you. Just do it today and however you want. Your true self doesn't need permission to exist. Let it show. Be yourself, because true authenticity is needed in the world today. You are worthy of who you are, no matter what has happened from your past.